Hi everyone, I'm Bonita from Pennies to Dollars and welcome back to my channel on frugal living, minimalism, and decluttering because I feel like all of those go together and they are the areas that I get excited talking about. I also throw in a sprinkle of Depression era living because I am a child of Depression era parents and that is where I learned my frugality from. So hopefully you will enjoy this content and I'm really glad to have you here. So today we are going to talk about downsizing. Is it for you? Is it something you've thought about? For my husband and I, we are in our late 50s and we are looking forward to possibly downsizing. Now, we're not wanting to get rid of the home that we have because it's very inexpensive to live here and to keep it, but we would like to live somewhere in the winters that's warmer and possibly live down there part of the year where it's warmer and then move back here in the summer when it's warmer to be around our grandchildren. So as I have been working towards this, trying to become debt-free because I feel like that's the number one thing to being able to retire early. Also, I'm looking at all the things that need to be taken care of prior to going and all of the things that I need to look forward to make sure that we pick the best place that is affordable to us. So if you're planning on moving, some of these things may apply to you as well, even if you're not planning on retiring. So let's get started and talk about some of the things to consider before you retire and some of the things to look for if you're thinking about moving. I had already mentioned that I feel like working on being debt-free is like number one for us. Of course, having a savings account that you have that you can rely upon and to have it ample enough that you feel like you can get through at least 6 months if you needed to. Also, any dental work that needs to be done, I feel like that was something that was number one on my goal to get taken care of. I had a lot of teeth that had been pulled when I was younger and I couldn't afford to get them repaired. So I had them pulled, which was a very bad decision in hindsight. But at the time, I thought it was an affordable decision and I really didn't think it would affect me that much. And it affected me much more than I realized. So I've got all of that taken care of. I've got my car paid off. I feel like going into retirement that is also a number one thing is no car payments, no mortgage, nothing like that hanging over your head so that you can just concentrate on living your daily life, enjoying your life, and not being tied down to those amounts that are still hanging. And then I feel like practicing on living on that income is very important. We have been trying to do that over the last couple of years, practicing on living on less so that we know that if we retire early, we can get by until our Social Security starts, so that we don't take on more than we can handle, being as we're wanting to keep 2 homes. Now, the second home will not be something fancy at all. We're looking at maybe something in a 55 and over retirement area that would be affordable, maybe like a mobile home. Some of the more affordable housing is living in RVs, living in trailers, moving to a smaller house, and looking at the costs of what that would look like. So things to consider for a frugal person if you're thinking about downsizing or moving. One of the things that we have done is we've done some research on this to determine what maybe these 55 and over communities require, or even city living requires, because we're used to living in the country. We're used to being able to do basically whatever we want to do out here without any of those rules. And for me, adapting to those rules seems kind of overwhelming at times. Let me share with you some of the things on my list. I want to know if I can hang clothes on the line. A lot of places, you're not allowed to have a clothesline. You're not even allowed to hang things on your balcony at some apartments. So I might need an in-size clothes drying rack. Am I allowed to plant flowers? That's important to me. I want to be able to plant flowers. And am I able to have a garden? If I'm not able to have a garden, I would at least like a sunny room like behind me where I can plant tomato plants, pepper plants, onions, lettuce, things like that, so that I can still have some of my garden. Are you allowed 1-car parking or 2-car parking? Many places only allow 1 car, so that's one thing that you want to look at. Also, some places charge for parking, another thing that you want to watch for. Are you allowed visitors in the pool area? When your grandchildren visit, are they allowed to come to the pool? We have seen some places that don't allow that, or only allow maybe 2 visitors in the pool that are under a certain age. So if you have a bunch of grandchildren, you would have to stagger them just so they could come to the pool. So again, that's another very hidden little rule that you want to think about before you move. Are you allowed overnight guests? Some places don't allow that as well. So if you have family visiting, even if you have room, maybe the parking or the allowance of overnight guests may be a problem. Is mowing provided and yard work provided? Some of the lot rents will provide that, and apartments, of course, provide that, and condos and some townhouses. But that's something you want to think about, especially if you're snowbirding like us. If we're not there half of the year, we would need someone to maintain our grass, which would be another expense for while you are there or while you are gone. Maybe you're not able to mow your grass anymore, or you don't have a lawnmower, or you're not able to move the lawnmower with you. All of those things can be taken into consideration. And also look at the crime rate. I have a tendency to forget about this one because I live in the country and I just don't think about it. But in the city, sometimes when you find places that are more affordable, it's because their crime rate is higher. So think about that especially. I know when we moved our daughters out to go to college, I moved them to the east side of town because I thought that was the better side. That's what I had always been told. But where we moved them on the east side still was not a better area. And they had a lot of crime in their apartment complex that started almost immediately from the time they moved in. So take that crime rate into consideration. And then, of course, lot rent, if you're moving into a place with a trailer, RV fees, if you're moving into an RV park. Some places will even require that your RV be 10 years or newer just to stay there. And that lot rent is going to be a reoccurring fee. So even though you have all of your debt paid off, you may still have a monthly fee just like you were living in an apartment or you weren't debt-free. And they can raise those lot rents as they see fit. So look at that very closely before you choose someplace. A lot of places have HOA fees. This was a new one on me from living in the country, but so many places have HOA fees, and so that can be in addition to your lot rent or in addition to your mortgage. So be sure and look at those HOA fees, because again, that's another reoccurring expense. It can be very costly, and you may not have thought to include that in your budget. And I want to choose somewhere with lower square footage. I'm not sure how big this house is, but I'm guessing at least 3,000 square feet. We don't use most of it, but I would like to have a smaller home with less utilities, less area to clean, less area to heat and cool. I feel like would make my second home more affordable. So look at that square footage. More square footage is not always a good thing. It just gives us more area to fill it up, and then we have to declutter later on. I have looked at so many 55 and over properties for sale that are furnished, and I noticed that the ones that I look at, even if the furnishings are beautiful, if there's too much in there, I am just taken back and saying, no, I don't want that, because if I move into that, I have to get rid of most of that stuff, and I don't want to have to declutter someone else's belongings. Also, I recommend taking a trip to that area, maybe staying an extended amount of time to see if the newness wears off and if you really do like that area once that newness has worn off. Many times we'll go to these places and we'll think, this is wonderful, I want to live here. But once that feel wears off, do you still want to be there? Are you still going to be happy there? While you're there, check out the local prices in the grocery stores, the local prices on gas, and see if it is an affordable area for you to live. Also, look at local recreation and things that are free and how you will spend your free time. You want to be able to enjoy your home and enjoy your surroundings and it still be affordable so that you can live frugally. The last thing that I want to do is to go back to work. Some people want to still work and want to still work part-time or want to do volunteer work. I have done a lot of volunteer work. I've always worked 2 or 3 jobs. So I would like to have free time. So having free things to do in the area and an area that I enjoy, that is affordable, that I can still live frugally and take a lot of my frugal habits with me are so important to me. So maybe make a list of the things that are important to you so you know what to look for when you're looking at moving or downsizing. So again, with this philosophy, less is more. Less cleaning, less stuff, less things to move, less cost, and more enjoyment out of all of those things. I hope that if you're planning on downsizing, if you're thinking of moving, or if you're thinking of retiring early and moving, that this was helpful to you. These are some of the things that my husband and I have been looking at over the last couple of years. We've been budgeting for retirement for the last couple of years, and we've been looking at areas, climate, everything that goes into what type of area we might want to live at for about 6 months out of the year. So this is one of the reasons I've been downsizing and I've been decluttering, because I don't want to be worrying that I still have all of this to do later on. So let me know what you have been working towards. What are your money goals? What are you thinking of doing in the future? Are you planning on retiring early? Are you planning on downsizing or moving to make ends meet? And I hope to see you in the next video.